Good morning, everyone. Carl, please lead the prayer. Amen. Okay, class, for our rules, please be reminded to open your camera and turn off your microphones while we're having discussions. Raise your hand if you have questions and make sure to obey our English only policy. Lastly, please do not overuse the chat box. Okay? Great. And for the attendance, camera on means present and off camera will be tagged as absent. Are we clear with that? Awesome. For unstable internet connection, kindly notify me ahead of time, okay? So you won't be tagged here as absent. Thank you, everyone. So before we start our class, we will have an activity. I'm going to privately send a message to one of you. So that's our activity, okay? And your job is to figure out who receives the message. So if you are able to receive the message, make a poker face, just like this. Don't do like this, because it will be easily detected, okay? So you're going to scrutinize your classmates' facial expressions, body language, or anything, right? So wrong guess means you're out of the game and you'll stay out of the screen. So you'll do like this for a while, okay? So the message that I'll be sending is hashtag questions. Guessing will begin in 15 seconds, all right? Guessing now begin. That's so fun. Wow, you're such a keen observer, Christopher. Great job. Now you can return now to your seats. Thank you everyone for participating. So, let's have a review. What was our lesson last meeting? That's right. It's about the elements of the short story. So, you're right, Rhea. So the elements of the short stories are the setting, characters, conflict, and plot and theme. That's correct. So let's go to our lesson proper now. So I have a question for you. So what do you think is inside this bag? Yes, Jinjil? Ball pen? Let's check. Oh, it's not a ball pen, I'm sorry, but it's a face mask and a hand sanitizer. So, well, these are the important things we should carry with us all the time, especially this pandemic. Are you agree with me? You agree with me, rather? All right, awesome. So, I have another question. Hmm, Where do you think Rhea is? What's that again? Sarah? She's inside her room? Oh, are you inside your room, Rhea? Oh no, she's in her sister's room. Thank you. So, have you noticed that guessing frequently leads to inaccurate answers? So, what we can do to ensure that we get the right answers? That's right. We ask questions. So, a series of questions to gather information for a specific purpose is called what? That's right. It's interview. Very good. I'm very impressed. So now I'm going to present to you some photos and I'm going to give you a chance to ask two open-ended questions in relation to COVID-19 for 20 seconds for each picture. You get it? What I mean is that I'm going to flash here on the screen photos and you're going to ask two questions for each photos for 20 seconds and I'll keep track of your questions, okay? So remember, we're going to use open-ended questions. So open-ended questions are answerable by yes or no. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. So can you see my screen now? right. So yeah, that's right. We have here Fritz, correct? Exercise. Oh, that's COVID-19 virus. Home or a house. And finally, our dearest frontliners. Very good. Thank you everyone for participating. I love your questions. They're so witty. I already tracked it. Okay. So let's go to our lesson proper. Right. All right. So can you see my screen again? Perfect. Okay, let us proceed here. Mhm. So today's topic is interview, and you got the answer correctly earlier. So, an interview is a special kind of conversation, the purpose of which is either to gather or supply information. Although an interview is basically conversational, it's more tightly organized than a casual conversation because it has a specific purpose. So, I think you are like confused of what's the difference between conversation and an interview. So, if you do have a casual conversation with your friend, a family member, and you're asking each other in a two-way process. You're answering his question and you are answering his question rather, and he's answering your question. So that's a conversation. While an interview is a one-sided question. So and you barely receive questions. So like it's your job is to ask and ask questions, and you can receive questions too, but it's just like in a barely minor manner. Okay, so we're clear with that. Thank you. So in order to make your interview successful, you must keep the following guidelines in mind. So there are guidelines for us to have a successful interview and for us to gather correct information which is relevant in a such situation or can benefit anyone. Okay, let's proceed. So what are those? So, number one, plan the interview carefully. So, choose a person who has a special knowledge on the subject you are researching. For example, if you are if your topic is about COVID-19, so you're going to find a person who is like a specialized knowledge in that one. May I say Secretary Duque, who is presently the Secretary of Department of Health. So great. So another one is make a definite appointment by arranging a time and date that is convenient to the person being interviewed. Of course, you cannot just have an on-set interview with a person because Secretary Duque is so busy. You can have approach him in person if you know him in person, and you can have an email. You can have a send him a letter through an email that's asking for an appointment for an interview. Okay, great. Next. So you're going to research about the subject so you can ask intelligent questions. You're right. You're going to research about things that you want to know about the COVID-19, how is one going to be affected with it, how it is transmitted, so that you can have intelligent questions. You can ask Secretary Duque about, who is the love of your life? That's so odd. Or you can ask him about like, who is your first wife? So it's very irrelevant. So next is write the questions that you want to ask. Check to see if your questions are open-ended rather than yes or no question. Put a star next to the question that you must have answers to. Yeah, right. So it is best for him to answer why questions like he has to explain, and yeah, we have explain, and it is much more, the content is long and it's very informative. So rather than the yes or no question. Get it? Awesome. Next. Number two, make a good impression. So how are you going to make a good impression? Of course, you must have a proper grooming. You look good. You cannot look like a rogged and go to someone and ask for an interview. No one will entertain you, right? So here, Arrive on time for the interview. If your appointment is 7 o'clock, make it 6:45 or earlier than 7 o'clock. You never know what will happen next. So next is introduce yourself and restate your purpose for the interview. For example, you're going to say, "Oh, hi, Secretary Duque. My name is Christiana, and I want to have an interview with you about the COVID-19 for our thesis, for our research purposes." And next is ask questions one at a time. So you may ask questions one at a time, not two or three, or so that they can explain it well, they can think well about what answers you're going to state in your questions. Okay. And next is it's important to maintain eye contact with the person you are interviewing. So eye contact just like this. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. And avoid such as romantic eye contact. Do like this. Oh, it's very inappropriate. Okay? Just kidding. All right. Thank you so much for that. So let's next. So be a good listener. Pay carefully attention to what the speaker is saying. The person may add some information you had not thought to ask. So if you are conducting an interview, it's really important that that you're going to have a active listening skill so that it's really annoying if the person will state his or repeat himself twice. So you must listen carefully to that. And of course, nod to show comprehension of what he's saying. Clarify things that are not clear to you, just like, oh yes, that's true. I totally understand that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to show that you understand and make sure that it's not something like you are interrupting him. All right, right, very good. So at the end of the interview, of course, you're going to thank the person. It's really important. It doesn't matter if he is Secretary Duque, if he is a driver from the hospital. It's really important for us to be polite all the time. That's a really great manner that we must live in our lives, right? So thank you. A very simple thank you can change the day of a person. Great. So next is get the correct facts. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So we're going to get the correct facts. It's really important because if you're not going to get the correct facts, it will lead into a different outcome, right? This is why something the root of customs. So take note, especially for the names and figures. So be sure to ask the correct spelling if you're not sure. Make the notes brief so that you're not writing continuously while the person is talking. It also helps to record the interview. So you're going to take note. And what is his title? Oh, Secretary Duque, DOH Secretary. You must, because he's from the DOH. Maybe you may write it wrong, like DNR. No, it must be DOH. You must double check everything just like that and make sure to take note of it. Make sure because a wrong spelling, like just a one letter difference will make very great impact because a single letter difference is a different means different person. Okay, we're clear in that. Thank you. So if you want to quote the person, ask permission to do so. For example, if Secretary Duque said Philippines is winning against COVID-19, asked permission to Secretary Duque that he exactly like say those lines before you publish it. Okay. Next is review your notes as soon as possible to see if you converted all questions or if you need to ask follow-up questions. So you need to read your notes. It's really important to have your notes because if you're not going to have your notes and if you're going to interview Gerald Anderson and you're starstruck with the handsomeness of Gerald Anderson and boom, you're doomed. You're not gonna get any information. So it's need for you to write all the questions and make sure that you cover it all. And next is write your report immediately after the interview while the information is still fresh in your mind. Yeah, It's really important because if you're gonna write it next week, it will be all gone. And maybe your interest from here will go down here and it will be fatal, right? So let's proceed to next. So let me just see what we have here. Oh, it's the end deal. Oh, it's the end of our discussion. I hope you learned something from that one that's so brief and yet I hope you pick up something for that. And I know with those guidelines that I mentioned, you're ready now to apply it and to have an interview. So now I'm going to group you into two groups. Since Christopher guessed the message hashtag question earlier in our activity, so he's given an opportunity to select his group mate and be an interviewer, while the remaining group will be the researchers or panelists. So the question you wrote earlier, well, will be added to the interview activity. So I'm asking Christopher from your group to add additional 5 questions relevant or related to COVID-19 using the guidelines I just mentioned. And the panelists or the researchers will have 15 minutes to plan and study the responses. Let's pretend that the panelists are COVID-19 experts, and exactly 15 minutes, the activity will begin. Anyways, do you have questions or clarifications with our discussions about it? About the interview? All clear? All right. Awesome. I'm happy to hear about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. I'm very impressed with all the questions that you come up to. So it's very rich in information, which is very relevant and timely. I hope you get something from the answers of the panelists. Congratulations. You two groups did a great job. So, again, what are the 3 important guidelines in conducting an interview? Yes, Carl? That's right. Plan the interview carefully, make a good impression, and get the correct facts. Perfect. Good job. And through our interview activity earlier, we also learned the importance of healthy lifestyle to win against COVID-19. Awesome. So now I'm going to let you write a not less than 100-word essay on how successful interviews contribute to the COVID-19 solutions. Once you're done, kindly upload it in our Google Classroom. All clear with that? Awesome. And I'm going to send in our chat box the criteria for the essay. So the content is 20%, vocabulary 20%, organization 20%, mechanics is 20%, grammar is 20%, and a total of 100%. Thank you, everyone. I have already seen here your work. So I'm just going to check it later and we'll let you know your scores before 5 p.m. And for your assignment, kindly interview a hospital staff. He or she may be a nurse, a doctor, a driver, or janitor. Ask pertinent questions about his or her experiential struggles and lessons brought by COVID-19. So you're going to record your interview and share it on Facebook. Please use the hashtag MyFrontliner, to tag me. Okay, I'm just going to send the hashtag to in our chat box. All right, so before I end our class, do you have any questions, suggestions? All right, if you don't have questions, I don't have answers too. I hope that you learned something today that you will bring is in your life every day. And it's really important for us to stay home and observe the healthy lifestyle for us to be healthy and be safe against COVID-19, okay? So thank you for today, class, and have a great day. Stay home. Goodbye.